Good afternoon, Pak Matheus and friend. Today I would like to present about an article by Sandra J. Savignon with the title Communicative Language Teaching, the State of Art. This presentation will be divided into 4 sections. The first is introduction, and then the second about the beginning of CLT, and the third is current issue, and the last part is about promising avenue of inquiries. In this introduction, Savignon stated that this CLT is seen from the perspective of international, not as in perspective of British or European or also in US phenomenon, but it is in a global perspective. Well, when we talk about the CLT, for the first time, the historical background of CLT, it is started by the American structuralist linguistic and also behaviorist psychology not long ago, that they see communication in a term of language skill. Those are for language skill, listening and also reading as a passive skill, and speaking and writing as an active skill. But this criteria of the skill do not include the negotiation of meaning. I mean here, when the listener or the reader, they listen something or read something, they have to use their ability in negotiation of meaning. They have to use their ability to what is the kind of think about the meaning of the interlocutor. Thus, it becomes to receptive and also productive. The active-passive skill will be changed, or will change into receptive and also productive. But again, this categorization also fail about the portraits of collaborative nature of meaning. When they only talk about receptive and also productive, they fail in capturing the collaborative nature of meaning. After that, it comes into communicative competence. Well, in communicative competence here needed for participant included not only grammatical competence but also for the pragmatic competence, how they can interpret something, how they can express the idea, and also how they negotiate with the meaning. Then before we talk about communicative language teaching, in the beginning it is presented about the challenges faced by the teacher and also the LSA researcher. For the teacher, there are questions about how should the form and function be integrated in an instructional sequence, and then what is an appropriate norm for the learners, and how is it determined, and how is language learning success to be measured. And then the challenges faced by SLA researcher, it is about the contrastive analysis. It is used a lot than only an error analysis, because in contrastive analysis, the prediction of learner difficulties and potential sources of error based on contrastive analysis of 2 or more languages seem far more straightforward than only for the error analysis. And then about the pragmatics. Pragmatics here is seen better than the research that only reveal about sentences level and also morphosynthetic features. And then also about the taking into account of cultural, gender, social, and other contextual variables. Thus, communicative language teaching has become a term for methods and curricula that embrace both the goal and the process of classroom learning. For teaching practice that views competence in terms of social interaction and look to further language acquisition research to account for its development. Then we come to the second section. It is about beginning of CLT. Well, it started in 1970s in Europe when there is a increasing number of immigrants and also guest worker, and also a rich British linguist tradition that included social as well as linguistic contexts. And then it led the Council of Europe to develop a syllabus for learners based on functional notional concept of language use. And then from this, it's also shown that functions were based on assessment of learners' needs, and communicative was used to describe a program. Thus, therefore, the focus on the process of communicative classroom language learning is presented here. And then the same happened also in Germany, that language teaching methodologies, it is Kathleen, Adolf, and people took the lead in the development of classroom materials that encourage learner choice and increasing autonomy. And then the exercises were designed to exploit the variety of social meanings contained within particular grammatical structure. And the teacher and learner were encouraged to define their own learning paths. Learning path. Well, the practice of CLT in USA, it is started by Himes in 1971, that he proposed the term communicative competence to represent the use of language in social contexts. And then also it led by the US methodologies that tended to focus on native speaker cultural norms and the difficulty, if not possible, of the authentically presenting that in a classroom of non-active speakers. And then those two studies, or those two operation of CLT also added, similar to the Savignon study in 1972, when she used the term of communicative competence to characterize the ability of language learner to interact with other speakers, and then also to make meaning as distinct from their ability to perform on discrete point tests of grammatical knowledge. Well, the effect of the practice in the use of communication strategies as a part of instructional program by encouraging students to ask information, to seek clarification, to use circumlocution, and whatever other linguistic and non-linguistic resources they could muster to negotiate meaning, to stick to the communicative task at hand. Savignon found that when he do the CLT research, the participant also perform a great test for the structure, but this condition so the contradictory way when another participant that do not give the practice for the communication strategies, it is so the different way. And then because of that, the use of game, role plays, pair, and also small group activities has gained acceptance and is now widely recommended for inclusion in language teaching program. Continue to the previous explanation. Therefore, CLT can be seen from a multidisciplinary perspective. It is seen from linguistics, psychology, philosophy, sociology, and educational research. CLT also focuses on the elaboration and implementation of programs and methodologies that promotes the development of functional language ability through learners' participation in communicative events. CLT is the understanding of language learning as both an educational and also political issues. Why it is called as political issues? Because the program design and the implementation depend on negotiation between policymakers, linguists, researchers, and also the teachers. Then we come into the third section. It is about the application of CLT in the existing program. First, learner communicative needs provide a framework for elaborating program goals in terms of functional competence. Well, the application of CLT, it makes a different situation. Yeah, it is found that actually qualitative evaluation of learner achievement is better than only do the quantitative assessment. And for the qualitative evaluation of written and oral expression is time consuming. Yeah, but the teachers, because they usually only do for the quantitative assessment, they see this kind of changes. It is kind of time consuming and not so straightforward. And US educators also see that in particular continue to feel a kind of frustration at the dominance of curricula by large-scale standardized multiple choice tests and so on. So yeah, this is a kind of changing from the quantitative assessment into the qualitative assessment. And also this kind of frustration found by the teacher. The teacher under pressure to make their student do well on such a test. And then how to cope this problem? Well, the current effort of educational reform include the recommendation to turn to essay writing and other more holistic assessment of the learner ability. Thus, to cope this problem, yeah, it should be a kind of reform in a term of assessment. But again, the problem faced by the teacher. Well, some teachers feel frustration about seeming ambiguity in discussion of communicative ability, and also negotiation of meaning is well and good, but this view of language behavior lacks precision and does not provide a universal scale of assessment of individual learners. And also about the second language acquisition research finding that so the root, if not the rate, the language acquisition to be largely unaffected by the classroom instruction. So the teacher feel frustration when they have do the communicative language teaching because of these two kind problem. The first is about the ambiguity in discussion of communicative ability, and the second is about the SLA research that show about language acquisition unaffected by the classroom interaction. And then, so what is the reform? The reform here has been done by several teacher, and also by several government. Here it is shown by the English language activity types elaborated by Kathleen and other for use in German classroom, and also about the modular thematic French unit developed for use in Ontario and also Canada public school, and also the text types elaborated by Prabhu that is implemented in India, and also the National Modern Language Curriculum Revision project in Finland, and also the revision of the English for academic purposes course offering in the University of Michigan English Language Institute. So this is an example of reform from the quantitative assessment into the qualitative one. And then this reform also reveal that communicative approach that have resulted from task-related, project-centered, collaborative between researcher, administrator, teachers, and also curriculum developer. So communicative approach here not only based on the teacher, not only based on the researcher only, or not only based on the government or administrator, but it is a kind of collaboration. Then from this collaboration, the benefit for the implementation of communicative approach here, teams of researchers and practitioners with expertise in both linguistic and language teaching have made contribution to both language teaching and language acquisition research. And then if we talk about the communicative competence, and another question will be there. So what about the grammar? And it is believed that communication cannot take place in the absence of structure or grammar, a set assumption about how language works, along with the willingness of participants to cooperate in the negotiation of meaning. And then it is also emphasized by Canal and Swine in 1980. They did not suggest that grammar was unimportant, but they tried to situate grammatical competence within a more broadly defined communicative competence. Also, it is supported also by Savignon in 1972 with her study that did not suggest that teachers forsake the teaching of grammar, no, but she tried to replace the language laboratory structural drill with meaning focused self-expression was found to be more effective way to develop communicative ability with no loss of morphosyntactic accuracy. And then for the last section, it is about promising avenue of inquiries. Well, in this section we will see about the next research what will be related to the communicative language teaching. Yeah, Savignon explained that sociolinguistics is one of issues. Why? Because variation in the speech community and its relationships to language change, and also the identity and accommodation help to explain the construction by bilinguals of a variation space which is different from that of a native speaker, and also about the retention of any numbers of features of previously acquired system of phonology, syntax, discourse, communication strategies, or etc. Does the retention of grammar the retention of accent the first language is a kind of communicative competence also or not. And then based on the sociolinguistic perspective have been important in understanding the implication of norm, appropriacy, and variability for communicative language teaching, and continue to suggest this avenue for further research and material development. And then also for the next issue is about SLA. Well, in SLA, the classroom here also sees as a social context for learning that has been neglected. Language classrooms were not a major interest of the second language acquisition. And then a lack of well-defined classroom process to serve as variables, and lack of agreement as to what constitutes learning success, and also confusion of form-focused drill with meaning-focused communication persisted in many of the textbook exercise and language test prototypes that directly or indirectly shape curricula. And then also the issues faced by language teaching. Why? Because in recent initiatives supportive of CLT is the analysis of activity or task-based curricula. The tasks determine the opportunities for language use for the interpretation, expression, and negotiation of meaning. And also in language learning result from participant in communicative event. And then Guthrie in 1984 he had done a study, and then the result shows that the persistence of form or meaning focused confusion still happen. Yeah, its result, teacher and learner dialogue, reveal that it is unnaturalness. And then it's also supported by Noonan in his study that rare opportunities for genuine communicative interaction also still happen in the classroom interaction, and also learners are constrained by formal consideration or provided with the structure embedded text as a basis for conversation. Yeah, their talk had many of the same characteristics as form-focused teacher's talk. It is based on the study by Kinginger, 1990, and also broader issue of teacher understanding, preparation, and also practice with to exploration. And then about the technical structure in operation. Well, the study also examine about the technical culture in operation. There are two kind of technical culture in operation: uncertain and routine, and also certain and routine culture. In uncertain and routine, teachers are uncertain about their ability to promote learning, but routine or predictably in their day-to-day approach to teaching. And also about textbook-oriented and non-existent or infrequent opportunities for this kind of spontaneous. And then also the criteria of uncertain and routine, there is no or infrequent discussion with the colleague related to the instructional methods. And then this condition has the different from certain and non-routine technical cultures. When in certain and routine technical culture, the teachers are confident that learner will learn and tend to support variety and innovation in their instructional practice. And also discussion and collaboration among the teachers, yeah, they do it frequently in this kind of technical cultures. And then it is about exploration of the technical culture operating in the instructional setting, the teacher's perception of what they do and why they do it. Yeah, it should be uh, conducted as a research, and also about the understanding the discrepancies between theoretical understanding of second or foreign language acquisition and classroom practice. And then about the innovation in teaching method and materials is most likely to occur in cultures that are certain and non-routine. So those are the future research will be or can be conducted regarding to the communicative language teaching. I think that's all. Thank you.